be a very exciting session. It's our keynote interview with Lena Goh, MD at Temasek and Head of Public Affairs, also someone who has had an esteemed previous career in marketing and communications across a range of leading institutions. Delighted to have you here, Lena.
Thank you, Chris.
So I'm particularly enthusiastic to have this conversation because I think Temasek takes us to some different ideas and conversations about brand than the ones we've already had today. Brand, I think, is an interesting subject to discuss when you, in some sense, represent an entire nation in which the whole population believes they own a piece of you, and indirectly, I guess they do. I think brand is interesting to discuss when your time horizon is not the life cycle of a private equity fund or a particular investor cycle, but multi-generational wealth for a nation. So there's an awful lot to explore, but I'm going to start with a broad question in the full knowledge that it's going to lead to more than one answer, but we'll explore them all. What is brand for Temasek?
The brand to us is a key differentiator. It really gives us, I guess, that access into the room. And from a public affairs perspective, we think about it in very simply 3 Ps. Positioning our brand, so the purposeful storytelling that everyone has been talking about, that's really key and essential to us. That's strategic narrative. The second bit is protecting our brand. That's a lot of reputational risk that we take on when we go into investments, when we speak about ourselves, and that's something that we hold dearly. We defend vigorously. And the third P is projecting our brand, and that comes into play in all kinds of the events, the thought leadership engagements, the partnerships, the brand partnerships that we take on, the videos, etc., etc. So then customizing it for various markets, sectors, different assets, different parts of the organization, that kind of like speaks to how we think about brand as a whole. In Singapore, the businesses here, or even our portfolio companies here, care about the kind of networks that we bring to the table, the kind of access that we provide to them. They care about the kind of jobs they care about. I mean, in Singapore, through our portfolio companies, we employ about 160,000 people here. So every time the conversations, even though we don't directly employ them, the implications, for example, of tech transformation, tech disruptions, impact of AI, we often get brought into, I guess, government conversations, conversations with corporates on what does it mean for a lot of, not so much the blue-collar workers, in fact, it's more the white-collar workers that are being impacted. So that's the business stakeholders here. And then for the international one, in fact, the international business audience, personally, I find it's the easiest part of my job because it's about the capital, it's about the networks, it's about being able to provide that long-term capital. And in fact, we move away from just that transactional conversation to a more relational conversation because it's not just about the financial value that we bring. It's really about the social, the human, and even the sustainable value that we bring to the table. Last but not least is the Singapore audience, or the B2C side, which really a lot of institutional investors wouldn't see it as part of their jobs. The fortunate or unfortunate thing for Temasek is because the touch points that we have, from the airline that we own to the buildings that we're in, to the trains that we ride on every day, and to the ports that bring in our cargo. Every part of our portfolio companies touch the lives of Singaporeans. So directly or indirectly, they feel like they own us, and they feel like they have a say in what we do, and that, I guess, that accountability and that transparency to them, it's really, really important. And through how we contribute to the community, whether it's in the innovations in the kind of companies, the ventures that we start up here, the kind of jobs, the kind of thought leadership around sustainability, climate transition, what does it mean for Singapore, what does it mean for the people here, and obviously the returns and the kind of investments we make, every single little bit touches their lives, and they care a lot about it, and they're very, very vocal about it, of course. That's what we define by franchise value. And by that, what we mean is how do they bring the value that we have, whether it's the long-term nature of how we invest, whether it differentiates us from any other investors out there, because capital is a commodity. The differentiator for us really is the brand trust that we have, and how, because of the connections that we have, it allows them to be chosen as the partner of choice, the investor of choice, and in our case, sometimes even the employer of choice. That really, really matters in terms of changing the conversation, reshaping the narrative for all our investment folks, whether it's in the markets, whether it's in the private equity side, whether it's in even the funds, the asset management side. Every one of them has certain, I guess, value drivers that they need from us. And that is the franchise value we hope to create. And that's how, for example, even like the family-owned businesses that we've been working a lot with in India, even in Europe, they see that as that differentiator. They feel that they can trust us to be brought into a family business that they want to create a legacy of multi-generational wealth for. Temasek has that similar DNA that we want to create wealth, like what you rightfully pointed out, not just wealth for one generation, but multiple generations. And it's for obviously Singapore and the greater community. And that speaks to our purpose. Our purpose is the term called "So Every Generation Prospers," and that speaks to not just the financial prosperity. It's really about the people. It's about the climate. It's about the community, and that's many, many facets of how we think about the brand differentiator.
Well, please join me in thanking Lena Goh. That was
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.